Natasha.
Debbie.
Show.
The show.
Welcome to it. Just two patriotic girls.
Learning about the world.
So please, don't take us the wrong way. Hey, sexy Deutschland. How you doing?
Welcome to the Natasha and Debbie show.
Can't help how sexy they are.
They are very sexy.
Hmm.
Everything we've been learning about Germany
It's sexy.
been incredible. Especially the food. I'm still thinking of that pork knuckle that we saw in one of the videos. I still want to have one.
We're going to get one. Let us know if you want us to do that and film ourselves eating it.
Mm-hmm. Please. Put a comment down there that you want to eat one of those.
Yeah, we'll bring a friend in. I think two of us can't do it. Before we get into today's episode, if you don't mind and you like the channel and you want to see more of
Hit that
us.
like button.
Oh, okay. Yeah, do that. That'd be great. And consider subscribing to the channel. We'd love to have you on board. So we're going to do something we haven't done with Germany here. We're going to take a look at something in World War II time zone.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to check out inside King Tiger. Tank Chats Reloaded. So this is a tank that's called the most formidable of German tanks of World War II. And that's the King Tiger. And we've seen it in movies.
We have. Sure have.
We've seen it in photos.
Mm-hmm.
And it is an intimidating beast-looking badassery.
Yes, it is. So we want to learn more about
This
the
tank.
details of it.
Yeah, we do. And it's going to get nerdy up in here, okay? We do a lot of stuff with not just World War II, but military in general, be it our American military mixed with the British as well. And we've talked in the past about World War II with Germany and how, that is the past. So we still believe that every soldier's life matters. And we want to thank those that are in service now in Germany, in the UK, in the US, all our allied nations. So, and again, Germany has been one of our biggest allies in the last 75 years. So
They definitely have. And,
thank you.
And to every country, their military is what protects them.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. It's the stupid politicians that take us to war.
that is very true.
So what's cool about this episode is we're going to merge the UK and Germany a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's dirty. Naughty me. I'm cheeky again. And I believe this tank museum, I don't know where it is exactly, help us out, UK friends, is in the United Kingdom. So let's find out about what this tank is that we keep seeing in movies and whatnot, and actually understand what we're looking at.
If you've seen our tank chat number 47, you will have heard our curator, WWll,
How
talking
big
about
that
this
is.
vehicle. The Tiger II, also known as the King Tiger, the Königstiger, or by the British Army, the Royal Tiger. In
Of course
Tank
you call it
Chats
that,
Reloaded,
British
we'll
Army.
be revisiting old favourites from the Tank Chat series and taking a new look at these fighting machines.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Did you see how big that was? I'm sorry. See how big that was with that guy standing there? I mean, I knew it was
Yeah, it's
huge from the
monstrous.
footage we've seen.
Yeah.
Good gosh. I don't want to stand next to that.
No.
I'd be an ant.
No.
Sorry.
I definitely hope they help us see inside.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
These fighting machines.
Sorry.
Now, there are 7 of these vehicles in various collections.
Oh, that's it.
At the Tank Museum here, we're incredibly lucky because we've got 2. One with what's popularly
Where
known
is the Tank
as the
Museum?
Porsche turret, and another with, what we've got here, the Henschel turret. That's something of a misnomer. It's not accurate. We'll go into that a little bit later on.
Okay.
But what I want to do in this film is look a bit more at the detail of this tank and specifically take a look inside. The first thing that strikes you when you look at this tank is its sheer presence.
Yeah, it's a
mass.
beast.
Yes.
And I'd have to say a brooding, I suppose you'd call it a sense of menace.
Yeah.
Allied tank crews were intimidated when they came across Tiger 1. Coming across one of these on the Russian steppes or on the Normandy Bocage, I think that would be a very bad day at the office.
I concur.
Definitely.
The Tiger II came about from a meeting between Adolf Hitler and the Waffenamt Committee for Tank Development on the 26th of May 1941. Hitler ordered that a tank be designed to mount a tank version of the Rheinmetall Flak 41 88mm anti-aircraft gun
I
with
don't
an
know.
improved round that was capable of penetrating 100mm of armour at 1,500 metres.
Jeez.
Tactically, enough were to be produced to provide 20 for each Panzer division to act as a heavy tank spearhead.
Wow.
A Durchbruchwagen, able to smash through enemy defences and break up enemy attacks. In the event this didn't happen, and the Tiger IIs were deployed as Army or SS Schwere Panzerabteilungen, heavy tank battalions of 45 tanks each. 2 rival bids were entered for the hull and mechanicals, one from Henschel and one from Porsche. The turret was to be built by Krupp. Dr. Porsche's design revisited ideas he'd suggested for the Tiger bomb project, but the complicated and radical concept of dual petrol-electric power, coupled with a new gun, didn't perform at all well in trials. It also couldn't be built using existing facilities, and the copper wire needed for its electric motors was needed for U-boats, which used diesel-electric engines. Unsurprisingly, the contract was awarded to Henschel. Now, this is where we get the confusion about the so-called sort of Porsche and Henschel turrets. Now, as I said earlier, all the turrets for the Tiger II series were to be built by Krupp, but there is a pre-production model, which is quite complex. It's got a rounded front and mantlet, and it's got a bulge on the side to accommodate the commander's cupola. It was decided not to use those. They were too complex to build, and the other problem with them was that the rounded front is effectively a shot trap. It would possibly cause an incoming round to deflect down into the hull.
That would be a problem.
We then get through to what's called the Serienne term, the production turret. And that's what we've got here. It is flat-fronted, so it eliminates the shot trap. It's simpler to build, so this was the accepted design. But it's wrong to think of these as either Porsche or Henschel. This is a better design.
That's detail I will never remember.
As it was wartime, the 50 prototypes already produced were used anyway, and fitted to the first 50 Tiger IIs built. The remaining 450 or so Tiger IIs, like this one, had the production turret. Krupp also redesigned the Rheinmetall gun almost completely, producing their own 88mm tank gun, the KWK 43 L71.
I've never been in a tank, and I can't remember if I've seen one. No, I have not seen one in person in a museum. Not a real one. Not even a fake one. So I've never been near one to know how big they truly are. But by looking at the men standing there and being next to them in this footage and that guy, it really is very intimidating. And again, we don't like war. Please remember that. We don't like war, but we do have a fascination with learning about it. No one wants history to repeat itself from any country, from any country. The building of this, the concept, the design, the engineering of it is fascinating. It is a beast.
I keep looking at the tracks.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just like, wow.
I know. It's a lot to take in, but it's also, I mean, it's just, I think it's fascinating to see it, you know, and to learn about these things.
To see how they could design something, build it, manufacture, build it, and get it out.
Let us know if you agree.
The Henschel design for the hull was a lot more conventional. Now, the initial idea Henschel came up with was an up-armoured version of the Tiger I. That would not have worked, though, because this gun, the L71, is a much bigger weapon.
Yeah.
So what they eventually came up with was effectively a stretched version of Tiger I in many ways, but with sloped armour at the front, the rear, and also on the sides.
Damn.
It's amazing that Henschel and the other production facilities actually managed to produce so many of these, when you consider the USAF and RAF between them eventually managed to destroy 95% of the Henschel work.
Dang,
Looking at the tank as a whole, massively heavily armoured. The upper part of the
How did they do that then?
I know.
How did you do that? Not you. You know what I mean?
I guess they worked fast and
wow.
quickly.
Well, I would say so. Wow. That's surprising. That's actually really surprising.
The tank as a whole, massively heavily armoured. The upper part of the frontal armour is
like
150 millimetres,
like scales,
raked back at an angle of 40 degrees. And the front plate of the turret is 180 millimetres, raked at 10 degrees from the vertical. Even the sides and back of the hull are 80 millimetres thick.
Wow.
The degree of
Sorry, pardon my ignorance. What's the stuff on it? What is the stuff on it?
It looks like it. I don't know, some kind of texturing, probably to help with light reflection. And
You making that up?
no,
Oh, I don't know.
I'm thinking if you're trying
Sounds
to
good.
like, hide.
Is it just a camouflage color
Yeah.
thing for it? But what is that made out of? I just want to know. I want to touch it now. So it looks like it would just be like, I know it's not mud, but like it would feel like a hard mud.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Slope, of course, is important because it increases the amount of armour thickness that an incoming round has to penetrate. So at 40 degrees, 150 mil of armour becomes 195.
Oh.
Genius.
Now, mechanically, this design was ambitious, but it was really rather far from perfect.
Oh, really?
The engine was the Maybach HL230 V12.
Really?
It's a good engine, but it was also the same engine designed to power the Tiger 1 and later used in the Panther.
Sending the bigger one,
Tanks that are
probably.
14 and 24 tons lighter. The 700 horsepower HL230 was severely overworked in a 68.5 ton tank.
Okay.
It was also monumentally thirsty. A litre of petrol would take the Tiger 162 metres on the road, a lot less across country. Fuel consumption would be a major problem with these heavy tanks.
Well, I
Definitely.
would have thought
Sometimes
that
they had to be
anyway.
abandoned just because they'd run out of fuel.
Really? That's
The most
surprised, I
famous
guess.
example being the tank from Kampfgruppe Piper, parked up opposite the church in the village of La Glaise ever since 1944.
Really?
The suspension, like most German tanks of the period, is of the transverse torsion bar type, and there are 9 overlapping road wheels on each side.
Dang.
You could say that's an improvement on the Tiger 1, which has got a whole mass of interleave
That's a
road
lot more.
wheels.
Okay,
And
yeah.
there's 3 on each
A
suspension
lot less
bar.
intimidating, that is.
And that causes massive problems. If anything goes wrong, it's an absolute swine to fix. The main problem here, though, is really with the transmission. Now, the Maybach Olvar transmission is quite sophisticated. It gives you 8 forward gears, 4 reverse, but it really wasn't up to the job. The sheer weight of the tank
I knew it would be.
causes massive problems with the transmission, the final drive, the drivetrain, and we have a huge amount of mechanical breakdowns just through that. On the Eastern Front in August 1944, Schwere Heerespanzerabteilung 501 had only 8 serviceable Tiger IIs out of 45. Most of the rest were out with drivetrain failures.
Oh,
Wow.
jeez.
Externally, this tank has undergone quite a lot of restoration.
Surprises me.
But it does give you a good idea of how she'd look during her service life. Now, the camouflage pattern, it's not quite the Hinterhalttarnung, the ambush camouflage of the latter part of the war.
Okay.
But what we've got is a base coat of Dunkelgelb, of dark yellow, which is broken up with stripes of Rotbrun and olive, red, brown, and olive green. This is a fairly good and serviceable camouflage for Western Europe and particularly things like the Normandy campaign. A lot of the Zimmerit on this tank is reconstructed, as the original had deteriorated.
I kind of thought so.
As most of you probably know, this was anti-magnetic paste,
I did not
developed
know,
to
but
stop
thank you.
magnetic mines being attached to the tank. It also minimises the
Yeah.
charm of flat metal surface and helps with camouflage. The tank is badged
Smart.
to its original unit, Schwere SS Panzerabteilung 101, SS Heavy Tank Battalion 101.
Okay.
We know from surviving records it was a tank of HQ Company, commanded by Oberscharführer Sepp Franzl. The tank had been built in July 1944, at a time when the battalion's spare crews were re-equipping the Tiger IIs. They'd previously been on Tiger Is. Its service life was going to be a short one. Now, the reason we have this tank
why?
is it was captured, having been apparently found abandoned in
I
a
was gonna-
field at Aumarais, north of Paris, on the 30th of August 1944.
Okay.
She's stumbled on by a troop of Shermans from the British 23rd Hussars, and on seeing this monster, a tank commanded by Sergeant Roberts puts 3 armour-piercing rounds into the left-hand side. Now, one round knocks out a road wheel.
Oh, I
knocks
didn't even
off the
notice that.
suspension arm.
He was- yeah.
If the tank had been moving, that would almost certainly have caused it to lose a track, would have immobilised her.
Right.
That doesn't happen. But the 2 other rounds, we've taken the rear shirtsen off here so you get a bit of a better view. You've got a little bit of damage here, and then a little bit further down. These rounds are coming in at quite a steep angle. Snick a little bit out of the upper hull, but then there's a chalk circle a bit further down where the round has simply ricocheted off the lower hull and caused practically no damage at all.
I noticed that.
That
Not a lot.
is a tribute to the superb degree of armour protection
Yeah.
offered
definitely.
by the Tiger.
Yeah.
Sound of the great design.
Having been found immobilised but intact, the tank was taken back to England for
Hmm.
evaluation and eventually found a way here to the Tank Museum.
Which is where?
Before we go inside the tank, I'd just like to point out some of the features on the back decks. You have got the armoured cap to the fuel tank just down by my feet here.
I hope it's
You've also got
Right.
these big, I mean, they're quite massive, louvered fittings for fans and ventilators.
Jeez.
This is the rear turret hatch, and you can see how massively thick that is. That is enormously heavy. I don't think it's possible to close that from the inside.
Oh,
But
really?
It would be useful for replenishing ammunition in a safe area behind the lines.
Okay.
Last thing are the track hangers. Now, they are a later addition. They started adding those
What are they?
from July 1944.
Track
There's
handle?
a reason for that. There's a bit of a weak spot here. Ammunition was stored inside the back of the turret. And they actually lost 3 Tigers through hits on the turret, setting that ammunition off. So the track hangers were put on really just for a bit of added armour protection.
Okay.
One of the
Interesting.
things you realise working here is the condition of tanks in the collection varies enormously, particularly
Really?
the interiors. Now some, like our Panzer IV we saw last time, they're just about perfect internally. Others,
Is this one not?
like our poor old Hetzer, lived for years outside, not here, I hasten to add.
I want to go to this tank
The
museum.
poor old Hetzer is
Absolutely.
a pretty total rust bucket. This one is just about middling. Now, as I said before, the vehicle was captured, taken away for evaluation.
Right.
And while that was happening, a lot of things were stripped out. So we are missing things like the engine, most of the transmission, the
geez.
gearbox.
Oh, wow.
A number of other components.
I wanted to see the engine, actually.
Yeah.
From the corrosion perspective,
Looks good to me.
she's not too bad. Now, this is, in tank terms, this is quite a big, roomy turret. But, as you might imagine, the thing right in the middle dominating the proceedings
Yeah.
is the breech with this enormous L71 88mm gun. It's a little bit off-centre, and that is to allow space for the gun sight next to it. This is a terrifically powerful gun. It fires an 88mm round,
80.
just the same as Tiger 1. But the difference with this is that behind that round is twice the amount of propellant in a huge brass shell case.
Dang.
Wow.
What that does is it produces a muzzle velocity of about 1,000 meters a second. That's the speed the round is traveling when it leaves the gun.
What?
Gun sight,
Wow.
I'm afraid it's not present here, but you can see the mats,
Crap.
was the Termzil Fernrohr 9D.
I don't know what that means.
Excellent optics by lights and adjustable magnification, 2.5 or 5 times, with a wider or narrower field of view. Couple that with the almost flat trajectory of this massively powerful gun, and that is a truly formidable weapon,
Yeah.
capable of knocking out most Allied tanks up to 3 kilometres away.
Jeez.
Wow.
The other major aid to gunnery here is the turret traverse motor, the Boehringer Sturm L43. This is dual speed, either 19 or 6 degrees per second, controlled by either the foot pedal or the traverse lever. It could also achieve a full 360-degree rotation of the turret in 19 seconds. That would allow for quick and accurate laying of the gun onto a
Absolutely.
target,
Yeah.
just using the hand traverse for fine adjustment. This might sound like a technical detail, but anything that allows the gunner to lay onto a target quicker is a huge improvement.
Yes, it is.
Looking further around the turret, You've got the usual sort of crew layout with the commander's seat at the back. The loader, pretty well where I am now, on the right-hand side of the turret. And then over on the left is the gunner's position and the gunner's seat. At the back of the turret, there is shell storage. This is what we call the ready racks.
Okay.
Space for 22 88mm rounds. And then right at the back is the large
That door.
very, very heavy hatch,
Yeah.
actually at the back of the turret. These things don't actually belong here at all. They are the exhausts which were detached when the engine was stripped out. So we've just got them in here for
What'd they
storage.
do with the engine then? Who stripped it out?
Before
I want
we
to
leave
know.
gunnery, I'd just like to mention the recoil cylinders here you can see on the top of the gun mount. Now, in a weapon this powerful, recoil is a major factor.
I
And
bet.
the way we deal with it is a combination of
Run away.
muzzle brake, which is up at the front on the end of the barrel,
That would really.
and the recoil cylinders here, these hydraulic cylinders. What these do is to damp down recoil, and they just ensure that when the gun leaps backwards, it doesn't damage itself, doesn't damage the
I
mount.
would scare the. I'm sorry, right? Nope. I would not be standing near that.
I'm just thinking of the sound.
I have no idea what the noise would sound like in there.
I'm sure it's just
I have no idea.
incredible.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, or is it muzzled from all the armor? I would assume not. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. Somebody else should have watched this with us, and they could have told us that.
There is another consideration here, though.
By what?
What happens if you are having to abandon your tank and it might be recovered by the enemy? How do you put the gun out of commission?
Good question. Is there a way?
Well, it's simple, really.
I'm sure there
You
is.
drain the fluid off the recoil cylinders and then fire the gun.
Yeah, that
It
makes sense.
smashes itself back off its mounts into the turret. And after that, of course, it's completely unserviceable.
Correct.
Looking at the
Thought of it
features
all.
of the turret roof,
We have to.
over here, you have the commander's cupola. That has fittings for vision locks, so the commander at least has 360-degree vision. Here, just above me, that is the loader's hatch. And the loader has a single vision block at the front. And then you've got other things. You have got fitting here for a ventilator fan.
Okay.
That was supposed to take some of the muck out of the atmosphere, but the crew
Does it,
complained that they were notoriously inefficient.
Yeah.
There is a small hatch just here. That
Like
is
gun that
for
size?
disposing of spent brass of shell cases to get them out of the way so they don't clutter up the interior.
I didn't
Important.
know that.
And then we've got a couple of fittings here. They are the travelling lock for the gun. And you clamp them on so that when the tank is in motion across country, the gun doesn't thrash around too much and damage its mounts. One miraculous little survival here is this. This is the now Vertigalswaffe, and it's set in the turret roof. It's a close defence mortar.
Oh.
So the idea is you open it up and you can fire grenades,
Uh-huh.
you can fire smoke, flares, sprengmine, close it up like that, and then this is the firing mechanism.
I am surprised
I'm
that's
really
still on there.
amazed that it's still
Yeah.
here and it's complete right down to its original Bakelite opening.
Okay.
Going forward, we're now going to look at the final two crew positions, the driver and the radio operator whole machine gunner. This area, I'm afraid, is well and truly stripped out.
Wow, yeah, it is.
But the Tiger was unusual in tank terms in that it had a steering wheel as opposed to the usual levers.
Really?
Oh, wow.
This was hydraulically assisted, so very light in steering. It also had a pre-selected gearbox, meaning that it's only necessary to use the clutch when starting off.
Do other tanks have wheels? Or just the
They-
levers, as we say in America? Sorry, I had to.
Well, he said most others have the lever.
After that, the driver selects the gear he needs next, gets the revs right, and the gear shifts automatically. The upside of this is that the Tiger is physically very easy to drive, but does take quite a bit of skill and finesse. Rough or clumsy handling could well result in catastrophic failures of the gearbox, transmission, or, like our example and many others, the final drive.
Right.
One advantage, if there were any, of this area of the tank being so stripped out, because obviously they've taken out the gearbox, taken out the transmission,
Yeah, it sucks. Wanted to see it.
is that right in the bottom of the hull, you can actually see the transverse torsion bars of the suspension system. So was the Tiger II a success? Well, I think, honestly, we could have an endless debate about that. On the plus side, massive degree of armour protection.
Oh, yeah.
No Tiger II was ever taken out by a frontal hit.
I'm not surprised.
Well
And the
designed that
firepower
way.
was superb. It must have been utterly terrifying for Allied tank crews to come across one of these, knowing that it could take them out well before they're in range to hit back.
Yes.
In mobility terms, 34.5 kilometers an hour is not exactly fast, but that's what you get when you've got a 68.5 ton tank being lugged around by a 700 horsepower engine. Across country, it was apparently relatively nimble if it was driven well.
I see.
On the minus side, very much a lack of mechanical reliability. Endless problems with drivetrains with the double radius steering gear. What this means is far more Tiger IIs were lost to mechanical breakdown than enemy action.
Yeah.
They also cost 830,000 Reichsmarks. Now for that, you can get 2 Tiger Is and really, almost 10 Shermans. In spite of that, and all the good and logical arguments I've sort of seen and heard, I've never seen anybody stand in front of this tank and not be impressed by what is an awesome piece of armour.
That was fascinating to me, and also terrifying.
Absolutely.
Damn. That thing is a beast. And he's right at the end with the debatable, was it,
yeah.
It had its flaws, but it also had its incredibly big strengths. That thing alone, like I said, intimidating when we started the video, more intimidated watching it, and to know that the biggest reason that it was taken out was by its own self, essentially.
Exactly.
I think at the time, though, the engineering, German engineering, of course, was remarkable.
Absolutely, with how much it could withstand, the hitting, the armor.
Not one, he said, was taken out by a front hit.
Absolutely.
Not surprised either.
And like we said during the video, once you're actually taking a deeper look at it, it's like, what was it like to be inside of that tank, running their turret, and everything that the soldiers had to deal with?
Yeah.
The smoke, the backfire, the loudness.
Oh, God.
I
was thinking that, as well as also the other side of things of, like our soldiers seeing it going, oh, no.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
Crap.
I'm thinking of from both sides, like, dang, I don't know. But hit the like button if you like this episode and you learned something today, too. Let us know if you've ever seen the King Tiger at the Tank Museum or elsewhere. We'd love to know. And if you would like to see it, because I would love to go to the Tank Museum and check out.
Love it.
I don't know what other tanks they have. I'm sure quite a few. I'm sure they have one of ours or something. I might have to come to the UK to see one of ours. But I do find it very interesting in learning about the engineering from all over the world.
All kinds of aspects of history.
Absolutely. And we hope that you enjoyed learning with us today as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate you. And we will see you next time on the Natasha and Debbie Show. Until then, please, as always, love like Jess.
And be as strong as Tyson.
Bye.
Bye.